Beautiful. Okay. So, welcome. I'm going to talk about effort planning management for compliance. Just to kind of set up the stage here is this will be an overview of some of the concepts that we need to pay attention to with managing labor, because labor is typically the largest expense that we have hitting our grants. So this is going to be a bookend of what do we need to know about effort and salary distribution. And then we're going to go into kind of general award maintenance. And then tomorrow we're going to bookend this with, as we're managing all of these things that we have to do what is called effort certification. So this gives a little bit of the layup for all of why we're doing what we're doing is not only the reason, but there is a required compliance for effort certification. And then we'll do a walkthrough of how to do that tomorrow. Okay, so if I hit slide, okay. So what is effort? Why is it important? So, and we say effort because it is different than salary distribution. Effort is the proportion of time that we spend on an activity, and it's expressed as a percentage. It includes time that is spent working on sponsored projects, whether or not the grant pays for that time or not. So we have like cost share in kind. That may be effort that someone's devoting to a project, but that actual funding source may not be actually paying for that portion of time, a portion of the time. The other concept is that we typically don't assign a denominator to what effort is. Even though like a typical work week is 40 hours, that does not necessarily equate to 100% effort. It's what it takes for a person's, like what is their typical hours that each individual would need to work to accomplish their scope of work or their job. So for one person, for a doctor, for example, who might be on clinical rotation and he might have 10 hours in the clinic, but he's still working 40 hours teaching and doing other things. So his 100% for him is 50 hours a week. And so the amount of hours based on that is and I have a slide that shows that. So you have like this is again, effort, and it's so tied in because this process of managing your labor actually also informs how you're managing your other support and changes that might happen. So 100% effort is basically whatever the employee's total hours are spent within the scope of their job. If you are not full-time, say I'm a half-time employee, 0.5 FTE, when we're talking about effort, it's 100% of my half-time, right? So if you will. So when we do effort certification, we're always talking about 100%. Therefore, there's a lot of math involved to get to the right numbers when we're doing reporting. Okay, so why is this important? As I said, this is a compliance where we have this effort certification that the federal government and for higher, it depends to like hospitals, I think need to do monthly, institutions of higher ed have approximately a 6-month cadence. So here at Emory, every 6 months, we go through an effort certification process. And this is OMB guidance that says we need to do this. It is the way that it's yep, Dr. Wanjo, worked this amount of effort on these specific sponsored projects. Okay, so what is included or under effort? Any activity that is covered by the institutional base salary. So which we would say IBS for short. That can be research activities, their teaching, administration, clinical pay, anything that the institution is supporting for that salary. Like here, we also have sometimes like internal grants and things of that nature. So What's not included in effort is independent consulting. That is not, and I caveat this, some I have seen where faculty could be a consultant, but it is contributing towards their salary. So this is consulting money that is outside of their institutional base salary, would not be included. If they get extra duty pay for doing something, or a bonus or an honoraria, those things are excluded from the institutional base salary and the denominator that we're using to calculate all of our percentages. Okay, so here is again an example of where I say, what is total institutional effort? So, and how it can be different for somebody. So, somebody who's doing 25 hours of research, 15 teaching, 15 clinical, 10 administration, their typical work hour is 65 hours. And then you would take those hours over your denominator to get in the percentage that is allocated to those types of activities. Mm-hmm.
So, in total, yeah, so when between, let's see, for what we did yesterday, we use we use what is standard. It may not be true.
Correct. We do too. We do too. We all work more than 40.
But for this, you use the fact of this to get figure or you have a standard.
I'll be honest, we typically, for the sake, because this is really the personal investigator that would be tracking this. Okay, and so when they budget themselves for time, it's based on their denominator, which I may not be privy to. So, and the other thing too, what we're expected to do as investigators is they're supposed to be tracking their time of what they're doing, right? But not many people do. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, right. I say, the reason I put this slide out is to again show the concept that effort is unique to each person, right? For the basis of a salary, we base it on a 40-hour week salary. So, but you can be working, and like I have been working more than 40 hours a week, so that's the thing. My 100% effort this past month has been probably 50, 60 hours a week. Next month, it might be 30. I don't know. Like it can vary depending on what it takes to get my job done. But for the mathematical calculations that we as administrators do, I am assuming we have to have some kind of standard. So I will say that caveat is a 40. The reason when I teach this to faculty and they go, well, I'm doing this and and I go, yeah, but your effort is not based on 40 hours, like they go, it's based on what it takes to do your job.
So when this is good because it means that if you are working 65 or 70 hours a week, it's still 10% of that time.
Yes.
Still mean it has to be a percentage of 100.
Yes, everything always comes to 100. But for one specific individual, you get that denominator be different. But it all is 100. And even NIH has, like years ago, we used to do the other support in percentages. And they've gotten away from doing that. And now we report in calendar months. There's 12 calendar months. You can't exceed 12 calendar months. It has the denominator is a month. It's not hours. So they don't care how much you work. But it can't exceed 12 calendar months. Okay, so, and that leads right into where the concept of effort is not the same as salary distribution. There are two different things. So payroll distribution is how those percentages are allocated across the different accounts, right? So effort so that's what I'm saying. Payroll is how their salary is paid. Effort is how they spend their time. So they're like, hey, I've got these number of things, I'm spending X approximate, it's always, nothing is exact. And we usually say what is kind of reasonably true, right? I'm spending X amount of time out of my month, my week on this. And that is why we also monitor effort with our investigators at least every other month, because things can change, right? So we want to keep that updated as much as possible. And the other factor is the cost share, right? So cost share is a monetary concept that is tied to effort, right? So, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. So it has to be included and considered in everybody's effort plan, because when we, at the end, every 6 months, when we're doing our effort certification process, so it says, if I'm working 20% on a grant, but the grant is only paying 85% of that 20%. And another funding source that is not the grant is paying for it, I have to tie those two things together to report my effort of the 20%. And the biggest example of that is what we call the over the cap. And let's go to the next slide. Now, hit it 3 times, so you know what's going to happen. It's going to advance 3.
Oh, I'm
So as soon as this is internet thing. Okay, see, I told you it was going to do that. Okay, so OTC, I think, the example of that is what we call over the cap. So the federal government has every year, every January, is published on their over the cap website page, which I reference frequently because I never always remember. Sometimes I can remember this one because it's an even number, 228.
like 50.
Yes, or where they do it. So every year the federal government issues what is the cap salary base, right? Are you familiar with this concept? Have you heard this? Okay. What is that cap that can be charged to the grant? So as of January 2026, it's now $228,000. And then the equivalent of that, when we divide it by 12, is $19,000. Someone who's making $252,000, their equivalent monthly is $21,000. They've got 4 funding sources right now. So you've got an R01, an R21, a private foundation, and then the department. This is the effort that they're devoting. Doesn't say how many hours, but out of however many hours that they're working, approximately 30%, 20, 20, and 30 equals 100. And then this is then how that salary, what you're putting into your HR system to say, hey, I'm charging 27.143 to this account and so on. Now, how do we get to those numbers? Is the over the cap calculation. So based on all of those, first thing you want to do is determine which grants does the over the cap rule apply to, because you can have multiple funding sources. So these 2 are federal. This is the effort. You take then 30% of what their monthly salary is, actual. Like, oops, I'm Italian, I walk a lot. I just walk back.
Chair. No, it wasn't a chair. It was a big speaker.
It's the speaker.
Yeah.
So you would like, what does it actually cost based on their salary for that 30% effort? So it costs $6,300, 30%, 42, and then that all adds up to the 21,000. Then you want to do the same thing, like you have a cap. What is my monthly cap? My monthly cap right now is 19,000. So I would do 30,000, 30% times the monthly cap. So these are the amounts that are multiplying your cap, what your cap is. That's 20,000. The difference between the 2 on the 2 awards is the portion that is over the cap and not allowed to be charged to the grant.
I'm sure you need to be more familiar with this.
This is really important. And I teach this a lot.
So let me try to repeat what I understood from what you said. So very, very well. So the cap for this year is 228,
Mhm.
okay, and that's 19,000 monthly. Now you can see if the institutional base salary, that the salary that everybody is paying, is based on that person, then what they now, the over the cap can only be challenged to federal amounts.
Cannot. The portion, the difference between the two. So the difference between what it actually costs for 30% and what the government will pay
And
is a difference of $600.
yeah,
That's $600. Mini grant.
oh, it's so what we are doing here now, in the portfolio towards the end, that's based on the institutional salary, and for the car, it's 19,000. Like, so the difference with 600
This is the difference, yeah.
we paid by the institution.
That's
So, to the private foundation,
Nope,
because you said the
no, and you cannot commingle.
Yeah.
Your funds. You cannot, when you're doing sponsored, you can't say that that foundation cannot pay for the effort that is being allocated to another grant.
Because it's technically still the effort.
See, because that's why we say what, when we're saying effort versus salary distribution. This is what you're entering into HR. To say, I'm charging not 30% to whatever account is tied to this grant, the account number that you set up for this grant. This is what you are charging to the grant. The difference when you add, and then some institutions like my client institution, I would have a separate account tied one-on-one to every grant. We don't do that here. We just have one separate project that captures all the over the. So when you add up this $1,000, that represents 4.762. And so there's and it's highly recommended that you, for audit purposes, a very separate project that you charge that, so you can easily tie this and this and this to each other. Because when you're reporting effort, you're reporting the 30%. Effort being, you're saying the grant paid for this and we paid for that. And then they tie together in that answer.
And that's the cost sharing / in-kind / match that we talked about yesterday. Although when you're reporting on other support, you don't have to break out that.
Yes, this
You
is
can still put in your total effort commitment.
yes, you don't have to do it on the other support document.
Justin and
Right, on the other support document, I'm saying the
30%.
30%, which is 1 point, no, it's 2.4. 2.4 calendar months. I don't. Okay, so this is then again how we got $20,000, and you'll see, and I did this on purpose where I had two, that these are the federal, these are department, like just their teaching and whatnot, and the foundation. So this foundation doesn't, you're allowed to charge the entire 20%. So the entire amount is being charged to that grant. Whereas here, only 3,800 for that same 20% is being charged to the grant.
And I'll just add that even though over the cap is a general NIH concept in terms of, or federal concept in terms of how much you can charge to the award directly. There are some foundations and other institutions that have their own cap. They
Yes.
say you can only put this much amount on this account or this grant. But if it might require a match or a cost share from the institution.
So we've
That's
also had like some foundations that will pay for work, but not the effort of the PI. Right? So that's then what we call in kind, but somebody is nothing. A lot of faculty members think in kind means free. It doesn't, because that person's still getting paid their $21,000 and somebody's paying for that effort, and we still need to track it. So, we have a like a minimum for those kind of grants that 1% must be allocated, at least 1% to any grant that you are a principal investigator. So if you're not drawing salary from it because the agency didn't allow it, you must have at least, because you have to do something, right? You're working on it. You're the PI. We have to allocate a percentage of effort towards that activity. And then you'll see here, like this is when you add what it can be charged, these two equal to 100%. Okay. Now, what if you're not 1.0 FTE? Same rules apply. If you have that cap, you must prorate it. So it is, and again, your timer there. That's so weird. Your salary distribution still has to equal 100 in HR. So you do your math to convert everything. And your cap needs to be prorated. So if you have a cap of 228 and you are only half time, then your cap is now 114, right? So you would, in two ways, you can like cut it in half, but 228 times 0.5 is 114. If you're only 80% FTE, then it's 1.82. So whatever your salary is for that 0.80, if you're over 182,000, you must cost share the difference. And I say this because a lot of when I train on this to administrators, they'll go into HR and it's part-time and they go, oh, they're under.
That's me. That's not me. It just
Okay.
off.
It's okay. So, they'll think, oh, they're not over the cap. And I'm like, oh, yes, they are, because it's proportional to whatever your FTE is. Okay, so why is effort and salary planning? Why is this important? So why do we do this during the whole life of the whole, like all the time? So you have to have a method that will track the salary that's being paid from a project and that it aligns. So again, project accounting, your accounting structure at your institution is important, that you have at least always project, that every grant has its own project and that there's a unique identifier that will tie that from an accounting point of view. And that you have to have a way to link that cost share to that project if it's over the cap. A method to track what what is the devoted effort against the committed effort, which is my coming up, what is the concept of committed effort and devoted effort. Devoted is like, this is what I'm devoting, but it may not be what you committed to the sponsor, which are two different things as well. A method to establish how to, then when we do that effort certification process, that we're tying payroll, salary distribution to the effort in order to certify to the government that the work has been done. All right, so this here is, I thought I had my slide. My slide did not make it on. I had a slide on committed effort and it's not here. Sorry about that. Committed effort. I put it in last minute, but it didn't save. So the committed effort is when you write your grants and submit a budget, and you say, hey, so-and-so is going to be devoting 20%. And if you're the PI, you are key personnel. And there's the rule that you cannot reduce by 25% or more. So it has to be 24.95. If it's 25%, and that is a cumulative year over year kind of tracking. So you must also, in addition to doing all of that, know what is your committed effort on your grant. And know that you do not reduce, if they do reduce by more than 25%, you cannot do that on your own. You have to get prior approval to do that. Exactly. And what I was going to do, and then here is, I'm gonna give you this is a spreadsheet. And I'm gonna pull ours up so we can actually see like what it looks like. And this is the tool that we use to actually keep track of all of this, because there is a lot of math and this is builds in a lot of the logic. Almost everything is covered here. But you have what your FTE is for that person. You put it does all the conversions so if I put in 0.5, it's going to tell me what my equivalent is, and then that's really easy to compare to whether or not I'm over or under the cap for those federal grants. And then you have your grants, what your effort commitment is, what your dates, what is the account number that is being charged to those, whether or not the cap applies, is there in kind, and then say, hey, these are the months that we're devoting effort, the actual effort. Now, in this version, I had updated, my effort will always equal my FTE. Okay, so whatever my effort is, if I'm 70% effort, so this is the FTE, so everything is equaling 100%. If I'm 75% FTE, then my allocations will be 75 in these pink rows, and then it expands out. I'll show you, to then do the conversion to the 100% for payroll and effort certification process. It's just easier. In my mind, faculty, if they're not full-time, they're always thinking about their effort based on a 40-hour week. And so if we don't, they're like, well, 12.5, no, I'm doing 10. I'm like, no, the 12.5 is when we convert it to 100%, but it's still 10% of. So it's just, I think when we review effort with PIs, this is just an easier condensed way to kind of look at it and that they understand.
And just so you, because it's kind of weird just seeing 6 months up there.
Yeah, there's
Emory's fiscal year begins September and goes through August. And we have a reporting requirement for effort 2 times a year. So we
organize their question. And on the bottom is another 6 months. And so this is what we're like, when we meet with our faculty to say, hey, this is what we have here. Has anything changed? Do we have any grants? When new grants come in, and they start, we add them here and we get what is their plan. This is the plan, the tool that is saying, what is my plan? And then we want to make sure that we then enter the plan into the payroll system so that it charges these percentages the right way. Now, and then we need to check to make sure that it does. And that is then the payroll reconciliation, which is on the next. So here it pulls over. And then we would enter in, I run a report, say, this is the payroll that has been charged to each of these, we call them speed types here, account numbers. And I put it in and like, oh, I'm $2.99. I need to do a journal entry to charge $2.99.
So just want to separate that we are not payroll.
Yes.
Just HR does payroll, but we do feed the information so that payroll accurately is accounted for in terms of the separation of effort on charging each award.
Yeah. So, right, we say this is how it should be. This is what I have different words, labor distribution, earnings distribution, whatever. These are the percentages that need to be charged to each of the accounts.
So do you all have a payroll division?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So but one time is there. I don't know but what I know is that the HR sends the payroll. The HR does the payroll. And sends to the payroll officer.
Yeah.
But I think it might be better position to talk about this in terms of allocation of grants. But we have efforts across grants. You want to share experience about this? Maybe? I don't know. You have more information. That's
Yeah, thank you, Banjo. I think basically, the in APIN is finance prepares the payroll, share it with the HR based on the already predetermined time and effort on each of the award. Then the HR now reviews the payroll and ensure that each staff's time and effort is adequately captured, and as well as other statutory deductions like tax, like pension and other um, statutory deductions that needs to be deducted from the salary are accurate. It is thereafter that if there is corrections, it notes the areas of correction and what have you. For example, if somebody leaves the service of the organization, HR is usually the first point of notification. Finance might be informed, but it might mistakenly still leave the person in the payroll, but HR will pick it up with other comments and what have you. Then it now returns it to finance for correction. Thereafter, if it is corrected, we send it to the leadership of the organization for approval and final payment of a month's salary. That's how it operates. Thank you.
Tomorrow, it is, if you have an award and say a faculty member has 3 awards, do you set them up on different accounts or you just manually separate those?
Yeah. We it's done in what we do is that for the 3 major awards, it's done on we have a software that
Okay.
does the calculations. Then for the other smaller award, it is treated under the organizational name, which because others are smaller, then under the organizational award is now broken down into the smaller awards, which at the end of the day it captures the 100% time and effort.
Yeah, okay. I just was wondering now, when my former institution, we did paper effort certification.
I did too at one point.
And so it's not always been an electronic system that captured each account number that everything was charging. Although it could have been in a system, but it was printed out on paper and you had to go through and adjust what was accurate and what wasn't, and then turn those in.
Yeah. The paper aspect is where on a monthly basis the staff fills his timesheet.
Yeah.
The staff
Say how
fills
they
his
spent their
timesheet
time.
and indicates yes how they spend their time, and it's part of what the HR
allocate your
reviews.
Right. So then if they're doing that, that's great,
Yeah.
that they're doing that. And then you would reconcile, does the time that they are saying match the payroll, right?
Yeah.
And then you would do the journal entries to make sure that what hits the general ledger is matching the time.
Yes, exactly. You do the journal entry at the end of the month, allocate the various amounts to the various grants.
So on here, I just said like this also then emphasizes the importance of connecting with the PI, because not only are we looking at their time, the PI is like our main person that we're communicating with, but I'm also like, they're responsible for their staff that are working on that project. So we also have like plans for staff, you know, if they have like a lot of people working for them, we'll have a plan, right? Like this is your plan. And then we, you know, go from there. But this here is to maintain that communication back and forth. We meet with the faculty at least every 60 days to go over financials and also look at the labor and reconcile. We discuss anything that needs to be corrected or processed. You know, grants make the dates like, oh, I just found out I'm getting a new award. I'll make note of that and, you know, get that in, you know, in my mind. Oh, we need to be on the lookout for that. Or if they're getting an extension, so that because all of those things will impact how we're planning our labor and our spending. And we also, again, you know, do we have any changes in the labor that I need to communicate back to the HR system so that like, oh no, with this new grant, I'm going to reduce here, you know, or whatever that may be. So I was going to show you the hold on one moment. The actual effort.
And Tammy, if you want, I can share.
Now I did one that I de-identified. And I just got to find the folder and I'll be okay. It's like my other screen, you know, like it's somewhere not visible on my computer because of where it is. Wait 1 sec. I put it on my desktop to make it easy to find, but then it's not there. And I did an Ascend folder and I feel like I'm losing my mind.
You didn't put it in the.
I did, I put it there too, but I also have it on my desktop too. There we go. I found it. Okay. Share again. Yeah. And going to share this one. And share. Share. Come on. Is it sharing? It's not sharing. Stop share, start again. Apologies for my technological. I want this window here. And share. Are you all seeing, are you guys seeing the actual?
Yeah, it's coming up on the here, it's just not coming up there.
Which is
Did you
weird.
take it out of the plug?
Let me try just taking it out and you know what? I'm gonna just try this. Because I want it to go on there.
It's showing in the Zoom.
But not on the big screen. All right, let's try. Oh, it's because I lost VPN. I lost VPN connection for a moment. And when it does that, it's
You
not.
didn't need to be.
Yeah, but when I do that, it means it lost internet for a moment.
Oh.
That's why. So, okay. So if I share this screen, screen 2, share. Is it showing that? And then
It's sharing your screen.
it's sharing it's sharing this, right? This is so weird. Okay. this on screen too, with this. Okay, well,
Oh, Sharon.
it's
Well,
sharing,
it's not
but not
showing
up on
here.
here. It's only sharing on my desktop, on my laptop, which is really small and I can't see anything.
Maybe you should check your presentation the case.
It was like when I closed the slide presentation, it totally disconnected from that.
So they're going till 4?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. I'm in meetings until 5, but I can grab him at 5 if you don't need to be here for anything else.
Well, we have our 4:30. I can leave at 4, but I mean, we have a 4:30. Well, we have a 4 with Dr. Flowers.
With
Why
Dr.
is
Flowers,
this?
yeah,
I don't know
okay.
why it's not
What we
showing
talked
up
about.
there.
That yes, I do have that one. That's where, we had that discussion about what we can do with
Right.
budgets and what
Mhm.
you and Kenitra can see. It wasn't clear to me what exactly this meeting is and how that's.
Tyree?
All right, same.
So.
Oh,
okay.
sorry. I'm not on mute, y'all. Sorry.
It's like it won't share screen, this area.
Wait. That's something different. No, I don't see it.
Here, let me see if I can. It's like it's slowly coming up or something. Do you have it on the desktop?
It's in the, well, I have it open, which is really weird. Let me try close. It's, and it's in the share folder too. Yeah.
It's just an RSPH effort plan down there. Just open that. One of those. Or that 26 effort
I
plan.
can't see. It's one that's called
I
Ascend.
thought go down.
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a
I don't know why it's making you share both. There it is.
minute. It's in here, in this folder. But it ain't letting me close.
It won't let you open that?
No, I've clicked it 3 times and
Hmm.
I got not responding.
I don't know what this is happening. Okay. Stop sharing. And then disconnect. And I'm gonna turn this off.
I think my laptop is like not, it's like attention required. This is, I can't even close anything right now.
All right, now let's start sharing effort. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Look.
Second. Is there a way where I don't see myself? There we go. So I already have this opened. I think there's something wrong with the computer because it's going really, really slow. Now that's new. This happens to me 10 times a day and share. Select a window that you want to share. Might need to. This screen and that application. Share. Oh, I think I figured out something. It's not there. I think I figured something out.
I can share it in the Zoom, but it won't show for Dr. Bonjo there.
I'm
That-
sharing my screen again. I tried.
Only, unless you just use my computer, maybe we can try to.
We can try that. Because it's showing in the Zoom right now, right?
Yes, it's showing in the Zoom.
So I guess it's your presentation should show that.
Oh, I got this now. I have green on this. See, this just went green on this one. But I'm
Right.
sharing that.
But it's sharing your home screen there and it's sharing are you sharing the slide, I mean, the spreadsheet
right.
on
If
your
I
home
can-
screen?
If I can do that,
Another option is if you share, can I share from Zoom?
hold on.
Right, she just open here without Zoom.
Yeah, she could, it will let her select it on there. Is it opening?
Is
now?
it showing in Zoom?
Try to get open.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
No, Zoom is sharing your screen. Right.
It's
It's back and forth.
it won't stick to one thing. I don't know what the heck happened that it just knocked.
Okay, stop.
Do you have Teams? Maybe if you open it up in your Teams and then just share your team screen, that may help. Unless, like you said, Malika can always switch computers, but you should be able to go into your Teams and make that a central visual.
Yeah, I'll share that screen. And screen 2. And I want to
See if it'll work.
see if I do that.
Go to. It stopped sharing. Nothing sharing, right?
No, correct.
Okay. Hold on one moment. YouTube. Let's see. You have to unmute me. Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
No,
When you enter,
you gotta unmute mine.
yeah,
Okay.
you leave this.
We're good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to expand a column so you can see. Come on, there we go. So when we're going with the PI, they only need to know like what we're putting in is what is the effort that they're devoting. And you'll see here, her committed effort was 15%. Sometimes we have late awards that come in. And like this was one where it started in August, but we got it kind of late. So she increased her effort for 3 months.
Okay, so-
And then it went down to 15, back to 15. So we put in that effort, and then this here will put when we fill in what and from the HR system, what is the salary, what is their FTE, and it'll do the conversion. And then this here will calculate out automatically the salary, and then what is HR needs to know for that distribution. So this is an example, like this person is not over the cap, and I go through, so this is a reconciliation kind of period. And see, I don't know how to get rid of, there we go. Yes. So we enter that all in, and then I run payroll reports, and I've now have started putting them right in here. So I have my payroll that I got from the system. I've taken all of the private stuff out. I put it in a pivot table, and then I look at my screen side by side where I'm doing then my payroll reconciliation. So my reports tell me, hey, this project, this is the amount that was charged. And then my payroll reconciliation, I come over here, and the first one, this is my plan.
Yeah,
Okay, so I want to see, did payroll match plan? And then I enter in what was the payroll, and then this will tell me calculate the difference. And then it says, hey, now I need to do a journal entry because I charged $2.99 too much. And I need to take that off. So that kind of works through. What I wanted to do was to show you, like, for this same person, like how this looks.
the issue of staff falls under the arrows, under your office.
Mm-hmm.
The HR doesn't really, they don't bother.
No, we do. So at Emory, different schools do things slightly different, right? So some schools, like when they get a new grant and they fill out their plan, they send an email to their HR person, and the HR person will put in what I tell them is the distribution.
Okay.
Please charge their effective next paycheck these allocations. We in our school, we have the ability to update the distribution, so we can go in and just put in the distribution for the sponsored awards. We work with our department together to make those entries. And then if something is wrong, we also then put in the entries into the financial system to make the corrections. We do a lot.
And it could be at some schools that the HR makes the corrections, but you still have to tell them.
Right. They'll go in and do it, but we're still doing the math and the reconciliation and giving the information to someone to make the entries if we don't do them ourselves. So, because HR is not going to know grants administration and what it should be, we need to tell them what it's supposed to be. So if this person's salary changed, we'll go to that example of 21,000 that we had. If their monthly salary was 21,000. Okay, so now that says my annual is 252. I did change these things last night and they did not save. And the current cap is 228. Now that's only effective January. For September to December, it's still going to be this cap. So we have a section, again, hidden that says cap or over, is this applicable to the cap? Yes or no? So now, when this person's making this much, it's going to be yes, that there is a cap. And the R21 is a cap because those are federal. And then here I have, this is linking up to whatever the cap is up here. So for September, it's going to be that. And then in January, it goes to 19,000. So now you see my earnings distribution, my HR distribution has changed. All right. So for this 20%, it costs 4,200 for 15% effort. This is what can be charged to the grant is the 3,761.67, and $438.33 is the cost share.
Yeah.
And now it does my math to say this is then what my HR distribution is. I wanted to make that now, again, when we talk about effort, the portion that here, this $483, okay, from a HR distribution, how do we charge that, right? So, because it's not, the percentage of that is not effort, it's salary that's tied to this 15% effort. So then there's a section here for our non-sponsored. So because effort, so this is made and built to manage labor and effort and salary for the effort certification process, right? So if you're maintaining this, your effort certification process is easy. So these are the sponsored because our effort certification is sponsored, and then there's a section for non-sponsored. But we're only certifying the sponsored effort, but you have to have the whole on record. You show all of it, but you're only certifying this. Okay. But you see the record has everything. So then here's the non-sponsored. So 60% of their 100% is going to a non-sponsored. But what's happening with this? Okay. So that portion that is over here of the cost share, there's a section down here for the cost share. So there needs to be, so you see it automatically will total it up for the whole thing. And it tells me the percentage for the HR distribution. And again, so now I have to provide a separate account number that is capturing my over the cap. So we have designated accounts that we will charge this portion of. And we do that so that, again, I'm not putting it with the 60% effort that's the department. This is effort that was for grants, but it can't be paid for a grant. So we, from an accounting point of view, separate it out so that money cannot be commingled, the effort, with any other project.
I like that. It also tells you how much the institution has to pay.
Okay. Yes. So that's what it's paying every month is this portion. And then this is what I'm charging here. When I do payroll reconciliation for that person on my payroll, there'll be another, I didn't do an example of that, I apologize, but there'll be whatever the account project number is going to be that dollar amount. So I want to make sure that that dollar amount that is totaling up for that month is matching what I have on that payroll plan.
Let me ask this question. This is what we learned yesterday. Can this 4.175% go under other support in kind? Would that fit?
No.
Nope.
It don't fit.
No, because you are on the other support in kind, you're showing your commitment to your effort commitment. This portion is a piece of what you are already committing to
So,
your response
again,
to the board.
Committed effort. I committed 15%. I'm devote, and down here it's like,
Why I'm a little bit, but there's a deficit in terms of funding. The deficit is not charged to NIH. Emory, for example, is paying the deficit. So if you are doing your other support, you claim that doesn't spend 15%.
Because you did, even though the university paid a portion of that amount, they cost shared that amount, your effort was still devoted to that research project.
right. So if you said I
Right,
divided
so
20%,
you're gonna put that whole 15% calendar months on that research project and those major goals. Because it doesn't matter where it came from for them, they just wanna see that your effort, you're able to basically maintain 12 calendar months and not more.
and I'll tell you, this is really important. we've been audited recently and several of our effort certification forms got pulled for audit because this was not done
cost
correctly.
share.
The cost share was
Share.
not done correctly.
Mm.
So when we accept an award and we put in, this is as the PI, I committed this. The auditors, like, so the one example, I think it was like, hey, they were supposed to devote 75% of their time to this and only 1% was charged.
Well, then it was just
What
an
happened?
error that it didn't pull in the cost share or
Right.
whatever the
They
cost
didn't
share.
report the cost share in the right
Correct.
place because they're gonna say,
Be
hey,
corrected.
the commitment in the award notice, what you said you were going to do was this. That's more than a 25% reduction. You can't do that. Do you have prior approval to do? Because
Right.
when you make that commitment, that's the difference between what you committed to do,
Yeah, John.
what you actually do cannot be more than 25%. If you are cost sharing over the cap, you cannot commingle that with anything else, that portion that is not being charged to that grant, because it's tied to that committed effort and it can't go anywhere else. The dollars associated
But
with
that's a
that
good
difference.
question on the other support, because it would seem it's in kind,
But in kind means an entire different scope of work, a
Yeah.
different activity.
different activity, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so, and then this does, our average, sorry, that keeps popping up. Oops. Get back over to where we were, sorry. Wow,
It's good. That's long.
I'm like very sensitive. Okay, so I wanted to get to this part over here. All right, so that committed effort, okay, we have, and it's not perfect, but we have here like just a quick check base, right? So if it's adding up and it says, what was my average across that 6-month period? And it's comparing, like, so here it says effort below allowable level and it says 7%.
To the message you sent.
Well,
that-
for me,
Mention.
Oh, okay.
So that's a flag for me. Oh, let me check that because, we don't have the logic built into this to say this had a grant, the start date for that was January. So it's doing a straight, like assuming 20% for all. So it's really not below, but it is for me to like, oh, wait a minute, is this truly below the effort or not? So when I get to effort certification, for this particular person, I'm going to have, when I go in there, I'm like, okay, if everything is right, payroll has charged the portion that is allowed to be charged to the grant. It's telling me what my cost share is. So this is then what I need to tie on my effort certification is the total cost share. For that 6 months, it's $2,301 for that project. So again, when I add these two together, I'm going to get my committed effort amount.
Yes.
Without them, I don't reach my committed effort. And I cannot count that $2,300 in more than one place. So, okay, so that is kind of our time. And the same thing here happens now, just to say if this person was not full-time, and my FTE changed to 80% FTE. Okay, now you'll see what happened here. I have a variance of 20. So in here, just the actual effort, the logic built in this is that it should equal whatever your FTE is for that month. Some of our faculty, their FTE can change depending on their funding. So, you know, it will go down, it will go up. So it can be different every 3 months. So, when you do that, and again, it still will do the math, but now I have to change my effort plan because now I have too much. So let's just say the 20, these are still the same, right? Because this is what I committed.
Mhm.
But what's gonna change is in my department, and that's gonna go to 40%. And now I'm back, right? And it still now will do my math of my HR distribution, because that still equals 100%. So again, I'm 80%, but when I get to effort certification, this purple column is what is showing up in the effort certification, because we're certifying 100% of whatever they did. Any questions? Okay. Pretty good. Okay. That is my effort in labor talk
Any questions from
from the Zoom.
Kamar?
Did I miss anything, Malika? Okay.
Stop sharing.
All right.
Kamar, you have any questions?
No question from me. Thank you.
Okay. All right.